murderer's jaw-dropping encounter with Lucifer in hell. Curious about the afterlife? Today we explore a murderer's intense encounter with Lucifer in hell. If you're into afterlife stories, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Viewer discretion is advised. This one's not for the faint heart. Get ready for a gripping story of prison life and a descent into darkness. It's not your usual near-death experience. Grab a drink and let's dive in. Welcome everyone. I'm Hudson, and I specialize in recounting the profound encounters of individuals who've brushed against death and glimpsed the realms beyond. If you find these narratives intriguing, kindly consider expressing your appreciation by hitting the thumbs up, subscribing, and activating the notification bell for updates. Your support, which comes at no cost, plays a pivotal role in fostering the growth of this channel. To my steadfast audience, it's truly gratifying to welcome you back. Before we delve into today's experience, a heads up. This narrative involves incidents of assault within the confines of a prison, so viewer discretion is advised. Settle in, prepare a cup of coffee or tea, and let's embark on today's journey. I trust you won't mind if I address you by your name instead of the somewhat abstract mind space. I'm reaching out to share my own encounter with the afterlife, a tale that, I must warn you, isn't for the faint-hearted. I carry the weight of being a murderer. Back in 1993, I inadvertently took the life of my closest friend, a tragic event that, though firmly in the past, still brings tears to my eyes. Charged with manslaughter, I received a 12-year prison sentence, a consequence influenced by my less-than-exemplary past. Regrettably, I wasn't always the upstanding citizen I strive to be today. When I entered Indian Creek Correctional in 1994, uncertainty shrouded my expectations of prison life for the next 12 years. The facility was state-of-the-art upon its inception, but the rules were stark. Racial segregation prevailed, a policy enforced even upon those devoid of any racial animosity. Personally finding this practice absurd, I refrained from participating, a decision not well received by fellow whites. My initial transgression involved a simple conversation with a black acquaintance from the county, which attracted unwanted attention. Soon after, I was summoned to the leader of the prison's Aryan Brotherhood chapter, a figure serving 3 consecutive life sentences. I found myself justifying my conversation with the black individual and affirming my loyalty to my race. The rules of segregation, delivered with derogatory language, were explained, sparing me from potential harm, but branding me as a marked man. Despite this, I navigated the intricacies of prison life for 8 years, steering clear of gang politics and racial conflicts, all while yearning for my release. Come December 2002, I found myself on kitchen duty, an assignment that necessitated interaction with individuals outside my racial group. Striking a balance between communication and adherence to the segregation norms was challenging but crucial. A seemingly innocuous remark to a fellow inmate triggered reports that I was becoming overly familiar with someone deemed unacceptable by the Aryan Brotherhood. Summoned once again, I entered his cell only to be met with an abrupt punch to the face without a chance to explain. The next memory I have is waking up in the infirmary, nursing a swollen lip and a gash above my left eye. It took a considerable amount of time, but eventually I uncovered the unsettling truth that after the initial assault from him, roughly 10 others had joined in, relentlessly pummeling me until I succumbed to unconsciousness. Subsequently, they callously tossed my battered form onto the gangway, leaving me to bleed in solitude. My salvation came when a patrolling guard stumbled upon my battered self. The catalyst for this brutal episode, simply extending a helping hand to someone of a different race, offering assistance with dish duty. This innocuous act marked me as an adversary to my own racial group for the remainder of my prison tenure. My complexion, once a mere physical characteristic, now rendered me an enemy in the eyes of all. Despite my innocence, I became a perceived race traitor, resulting in a complete absence of support from my fellow whites within the prison walls. The last 4 years of my incarceration were nothing short of a nightmarish ordeal. If you attempt to fathom the harsh realities of prison existence, your mental imagery would not stray far from the truth. Yes, it did happen, not once but twice, to the best of my awareness. It felt like a recurring nightmare, with assaults occurring nearly every month, orchestrated by different factions. Owing to my status as a race trader, a standing directive decreed that any white person offering me aid or seeking retribution on my behalf would suffer a similar fate or worse. The routine assaults extended even to commissary days, where I was targeted before I ultimately implored my father to cease sending me money. At last, I found solace as people ceased to torment me. In my concluding year behind bars, driven to the brink, I decided to retaliate against those who had tormented me for 4 long years. I confronted the leader of the Aryan Brotherhood using a makeshift shank crafted from my toothbrush to inflict. Witnessing him crumple, clutching his kidney area, brought a fleeting sense of retribution. It wasn't lethal, but it did instill a momentary hesitancy in him regarding further mistreatment. The age-old adage proved itself. Live by the sword, constant vigilance became my shield, avoiding interactions with anyone whenever possible. 5 months shy of my scheduled release, the tables turned and he exacted his revenge. The method remains a mystery to me, but he lacerated my abdomen deeply, spanning from one side to the other, leaving me incapacitated on the floor as I hovered above my lifeless body, witnessing the chaos as guards ushered everyone into lockdown. A pool of blood formed around my midsection. Despite the initial detachment from my corporeal self, I maintained my gaze. This descent, accompanied by agonized screams, moans, and unsettling sounds of gnawing and chewing, transformed into a freefall sensation. Suddenly, I found myself standing on a rocky surface, encircled by flames of unparalleled intensity, the heat overwhelming and suffocating. In the midst of this inferno, I tentatively uttered a feeble hello. To my astonishment, upon uttering those words, the cacophony of screams ceased, replaced by an indescribably malevolent cackle. "Welcome home, Sam," resonated a disembodied voice, demanding the entity to reveal itself. I was confronted by a being that, while resembling a regular human, exuded an unmistakable malevolence. This entity, with a slightly reddish hue, bore no redeeming qualities. Hesitant, I inquired, "Who are you?" To which the ominous being replied, "You humans call me many names. I prefer Lucifer." "This can't be happening. It's all a dream. I'm a good person." My vehement denial echoed in the face of the being claiming to be the devil. "A good person," sneered the entity, challenging me to prove my virtue as it unveiled the darkest corners of my life. "You killed your best friend, and remorse barely touched you. Good people don't commit the atrocities you have." The devil meticulously showcased the heinous acts I committed in prison, acts I am too ashamed to articulate. It delved into the depths of my thoughts on the day I took my friend's life, exposing hidden desires for the gun to discharge exactly as it did. "Sam, do you still see yourself as a good person?" Lucifer hissed, savoring the knowledge of my shattered spirit. "Oh my God, Jesus, no. What have I done?" I cried out, witnessing Lucifer writhe in pain at the mere mention of those names. "Do not utter those names in my domain, murderer. They can't rescue a lost soul like you," Lucifer scornfully declared. Desperation seized me, and I looked upward, fervently beseeching God to rescue me from Lucifer's clutches. I begged for forgiveness, acknowledging the wrongs I committed. As I felt myself being pulled away, Lucifer protested, his hisses echoing, claiming that I belonged with him. The duration of my ascent toward the heavens remains unknown, but upon arrival, my deceased friend awaited me. "Danny, I'm sorry, so sorry," I pleaded, and he smiled, conveying forgiveness. Danny signaled it was time to go home, but I resisted, dreading a return to hell. In response, Danny reassured me through unspoken words, "You're not headed there. God has forgiven you, and so have I. But you must complete your time on earth. Your journey is not over." Apologizing once more, I descended abruptly, feeling like I was propelled back into my body. I collided with it, gasping in agony. The nurse, stunned, screamed and fainted, while the doctor who attended to me expressed disbelief at my survival. Later, I discovered the object used to wound me didn't originate from within the prison, hinting at a corrupt guard's involvement. No culprit was identified, but suspicions lingered. My recovery unfolded in the infirmary. For those skeptics, I'm open to sharing pictures of the scar across my stomach. I implore everyone to believe that as long as faith in God persists, redemption is possible. Even in the depths of hell, souls linger in damnation. When God is forgotten or pride hinders, pleas for help. Embracing a renewed faith, I bear the weight of my past every day, healing incrementally. The shadow of my time with the Orion Brotherhood looms. Today's account concludes here. What are your thoughts on the hellish experience shared? Is salvation genuine, or did Lucifer deceive me? I invite your reflections. Until next time, stay safe and blessed.